Hey guys, it's Nick M. Whittier here on my fifth video log, I believe. Sorry, I had a little bit of a false start. Didn't end up doing it daily. Was pretty sick. Feeling better now. So I'm gonna binge record a few of these videos. So where I left off, I was gonna talk about Tilt. So Tilted Thursday is what it was supposed to be, although it is not Thursday today. So I went to a tournament on Friday, Melee at the Maid. Not many people showed up. It's a little disappointing, but there was still some good competition. There were two other ranked players besides me, and I was actually the lowest ranked player there. So there was Dizkid Boogie, Azusa, and me. So the maid actually, a couple weeks in a row now, it's been pretty stacked, even though there weren't very many entrants. And I've been noticing some pretty crazy tilt going on. So last week, there was me, Dizkid Boogie, Homemade Waffles, and Spark, and maybe one more ranked player. I don't think so though. So last week, Brandon seemed a little bit mad when he was playing against me. You know, he talked about how he finds playing me frustrating because I just dash dance and he doesn't really know what to do against it. And I will say that me and Brandon are both pretty bad players when it comes to like playing with our heads not in the game. Sometimes, you know, we don't quite have the focus, and it can be hard to play your best if you're not totally in the game, in the zone. So I believe I got third last week. I beat Brandon, lost to Spark, and lost to Spark again in losers finals, I think. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, yeah, I definitely felt like I lost because of some bullshit, but even though some things didn't go my way, I felt like I did keep my head in the game, and I was overall somewhat satisfied with how I played. But thereafter, I got to watch Spark versus Dizkid Boogie in a two-set grand finals that Spark came from losers, and he managed to bring it back two sets. And man, Dizkid Boogie looked really upset after. And actually, looks really upset is kind of misleading. He was very upset and verbally expressed how upset he was with how the sets went against Spark and against Brandon as well, even though he beat Brandon too. So yeah, he was complaining about the nature of Ice Climbers versus Sheik, or just people against Ice Climbers in general, and how people platform camp him and he doesn't feel like he gets to interact or have like any fun or really learn anything because people just like try not to fight him. And let's be real, you know, Ice Climbers, they can be pretty scary to commit against because if you make a mistake, you get wobbled, and they're also not the best at pushing it and forcing their opponents into bad situations. A lot of times they kind of have to let their opponents fall into their traps, and Spark is a very clean player with really good execution, so it's no surprise that he is also very patient, extremely patient, very campy a lot of the times, though not always. And so it's no surprise that he would have the discipline and diligence to be able to play a clean, long two-setter against Ice Climbers. And, you know, Spark ended up winning, even had a massive comeback on FD, and it was really obvious that Diz was not in the game. Then the next day, I got to see Army versus Wavebringer at Blood for Blood. So there's another example of an Ice Climbers player who looked really upset pretty quickly, to be honest. I felt like he got tilted like really quickly. And Ice Climbers players, I've noticed a lot of times tilt. And a lot of people tilt against Ice Climbers players. So fast forward to this week, against Azusa, I felt like I played really, really, really bad. And I lost even though I had won the last couple times we played. And I was really tilted, and then I got 3-0'd by Dizkid in losers. I definitely did not put up a good fight against Diz. I don't remember the last time I got swept by him. I haven't beaten him in a year, but usually usually I'd say we go to match point, or you know, I take at least one game. If it's best of 5, I think I even usually take 2. But this time I got kind of annihilated, and so there's a few things that I think cause people to tilt that I've been thinking about in the last few weeks. One is if you're not playing well, it can be hard to get your head in the game because you feel like you're just struggling with some shit that you shouldn't be struggling with, right? Like dash back. So at that, Blood for Blood wasn't UCF. I definitely was not stoked about this, and I practiced a bunch of shit that I wouldn't have to practice. And then this week I didn't have time to practice, or I was sick, I was doing other shit. And then I killed myself twice against Azusa because I tried to dash back towards the ledge into teeter, and then I like over dashed and then ran off the stage and got myself killed. I don't think I actually technically killed myself, but I ran off the stage and I had to use my double jump, and then it hit me out when I double jump. So this happened 3 times. One time it was on purpose, and then I was like, oh, that's really dumb. I shouldn't do that. And then did it 2 more times by accident, which made me extremely angry because I wasn't trying to do it. So yeah, execution is something that can be really frustrating. So something that I would recommend is taking time between stocks and also taking time in the game when you have time to take time. So, I play a fast character. The other characters at this tournament, being Peach and Ice Climbers that I was contending with, are not the most mobile. So a lot of the times I can actually choose like not to engage, or I can rather at least choose to engage on my own terms when I want to. This might not be true against every Peach or Ice Climbers player, but I think against Azusa and Diz, it's pretty true. They're not the most like they're not the most like go in type players. They're pretty defensive and pretty cautious. So something that I should have done is just like camp intermittently to regain my own mental composure. So like you can do this. A lot of characters are good at doing this on the ledge. Definitely see Spark do this, where I feel like a lot of times he just like camps at the edge and kind of regains his composure by slowing down the game. So you can intentionally slow down the game to try to regain your mental fortitude. Another thing is that you have to realize a lot of times opponents will be trying to tilt you, and you can try to tilt them back or just gain a mental advantage somehow. So like if they taunt you, that actually sometimes does get people tilted. You like have to actually realize that your opponent might be doing some shit to frustrate you. So you gotta remember that it is a PvP game, and the mental battle is just as important as what's going on the screen. So I would recommend going for some shit to tilt your opponent and then make you feel yourself. Because if you see your opponent mad, it probably makes you less mad, or you get your silent spectre smirk to yourself. So for instance, the Falcon, instead of stomp kneeing, I could stomp and then do a second stomp and nipple spike them and kill them. Just because a lot of times like floaties get really annoyed when they get killed by spikes because they feel like they should live longer or they shouldn't die off the bottom or whatever. So yeah. Going for like a more decisive kill could be really good. Or for instance, instead of reverse kneeing Sheik with her up B landing, I could ledge hop, turn around, Falcon punch, and that can a lot of times make Sheiks really annoyed. So then there's also not only things that are just like equally optimal or whatever, but more tilting. There's also things that are stupid and bad, but that might work, which can really tilt opponents. Like going for a tech trap when you don't need to, and you could just combo them outright. So for instance, like when you watch Nun play, he could just go for a simple thing, but a lot of times he goes for some overly elaborate shit that just makes it like way harder than it needs to be. But that can be pretty annoying for the opponent, because if you give them a chance to get out and then they aren't able to get out because they mess up or they don't understand the situation or they don't see it coming, then they can get pretty mad because like you gave them a chance and then they fucked it up, which gets in their own head more than not having a chance and then getting out. So yeah, I think like tech traps are a good example of that, right? Because when somebody gets tech trapped, it means they got tricked and that it was their own fault. So like, sometimes I could stomp knee, but then I could stomp forward tilt knee just to like make them mad that they missed the tech and then knee them. Like, so yeah, that would be another good example. There's always gratuitous combo extenders when when you think they're choking because you can feel that they're just holding in. Like sometimes it's just really obvious that people have lost composure and they're just going to hold in. Or, you can go for like a swaggy, Twitch clip type combo where, there's no way that it should work on a well-composed opponent. But if they're like choking and just playing like shit and then they get styled on, that'll probably make them play even worse. So what I'm trying to say is try to get decisive moments in the set that can bring the momentum back in your favor. Like use the tools available to you to win the mental game rather than just crumbling. I definitely have a lot of times in my life where I feel like I'm losing because my head isn't in the game and I don't do as good a job trying to get my head back in the game as I should because, maybe sometimes I don't care. Maybe sometimes I'm being scrubby. Maybe whatever. There's lots of different things. It can also just be like, sometimes I'm too tilted to even have rational thoughts about something. But yeah, there's all kinds of ways that you can try to manage your mental state. And you should definitely think about this. If you don't feel like you're firing on all cylinders, try to think about what you can do to get yourself back in the game. All right, so that was Tilted Thursday. I'll talk about movies in my next vlog. I call that Film Friday, and I'm going to go see the movie Coco and then talk about that.